Welcome back to another episode of Dance Specific Talks. I'm T-zer.
Yo, what do you do, young blood? Coach Sebastian here. Hope everybody's doing absolutely amazing wherever you are tuning in from around the world. We have a super exciting episode to hear today. I'm in Barcelona. T-zer is in Amsterdam with our special guest.
Yes, I can't wait to introduce you all to Nika.
What's up,
Yo, what do you
guys?
do? Yo, what do you
Hello.
do? What's up? What's up?
She's one of these dancers that I've come across the last few years in Amsterdam, and I just
Nice.
knew we needed to have her on the podcast. She is multi-talented. She does several styles, but also more than dancing. She's super ambitious, hardworking, and I am so honored to have you online.
Oh,
I want
hi.
people to get to know you a little bit better. Why don't you start with giving a little introduction? Where did you grow up? When did dance find its way into your life?
Okay, it's gonna be a long one. No, but to summarize, I'm a Russian Ukrainian dancer. Growing up not in a very dancing environment, but being a Russian, you always have this like extracurricular, some kind of movement and some kind of musical instrument. So you're always thrown into this deep end of you have to excel or at least have a musical ear. So I've been always going to different dance classes, starting with ballet, 1 year into ballet, and I'm like, I cannot. Strictness of it is not my thing. And so just over the years, trying circus and Latin and just so many belly dancing. I've tried it and it was like, okay, maybe not mine. And then at some point, got to social dancing.
And what
Yeah.
Beautiful.
age were you then?
17?
Wow, that's so
Yeah.
young. Like I can't imagine being
Wow.
17
Yeah.
and trying couple dancing.
The thing is, I was dancing a year pole dance before, so I had my partner, but but the pole dance was more like it's a physical thing because it's so much strength on you. So I had 1 year of blisters and talking to basically a metal thing that doesn't respond. So then after a while, I'm like, I want to have a partner that actually talks back to me.
That treats my body kinder
Yeah.
without bruises.
So I
How
started
do you find
bachata.
how do you find sorry, I got interrupted straight away. How do you find pole dancing as a 16-year-old in Russia? Like tell
Okay.
break that down for me, please.
Okay. I lived very international my whole life, and I found pole dancing in Prague, in Czech Republic at the time. Or maybe I was like just turned 17. I think I just turned 17,
Okay.
but it was like on the verge of 17, 16. And then I was like, okay, I want to have some kind of physical movement, but then also dancing related. Um, so I was like, hey, it sounds like I've never tried it before. And I've done circus before, like when I was a kid. So I felt like it just a new thing to try. Yeah.
Hmm. Wow, and also Prague is not on my map of couple dancing. Like,
Yeah.
was it a is it a strong scene to start in?
Well, I didn't really know the scene much. And actually, I was dragged into social dancing by a friend of mine because she didn't want to go by herself. And she knew that I had some kind of dancing experience. So she's like, go for it, go with me. And then I started Argentinian tango and bachata in the same week.
Oh,
Ooh.
And yeah, that was my first two. And I was actually going back and forth for the first almost a year of taking both privates and classes from both styles.
that's interesting
Yeah.
because Argentinian tango. So for the people who have listened to our podcast a bit, they know my dad did Argentinian
Mm.
tango.
The
Yeah,
big
he
bad
started
wolf.
late. The Big Bad Wolf, and it's a very old.
Yes.
Like the general age are very old, but
Older.
it's
And
older.
I was 17 at the time.
Mm,
So then I was dancing most of the times, and usually in training, you were supposed to be coupled up with someone because there is not a lot of this how you would have in social dancing. You can come in by yourself and then you switch.
rotate.
No, not really. So there, or maybe because that was the school, I don't know, but we were supposed to be assigned more or less to someone.
Oh,
And then I was dancing with someone who was like 50 plus the first full year.
He loved
And
it. He loved
probably
it. He
yes.
would never dance that long if he wasn't. He fell in love with that style.
Yeah, but in all
hey,
of the milongas, I was really like the average age was probably 40.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the things why I didn't feel as in the scene
Mm.
because there was not really a lot of people that I could talk to that I felt like were in my mental level. But that's
Mm.
because I wasn't in theirs.
I remember when your mom, Sebastian, started Argentinian tango because she
Yeah.
was just so tired of being around young people.
Yeah,
She's like,
exactly.
I
Exactly.
need to find somewhere to go
Yeah.
for dancing with my own age. So I love
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
for them, you know?
But that actually helped me in urban kids a lot because I had so much of tango movements, all the ganchos and all the movements, the flicks with the legs.
Yeah.
So that later when I was dancing or just started urban kids and everyone's like, this is how you're supposed to. And I'm like, are you just explaining a gancho to me? I know it. It's okay. And they're like,
Mm. That's funny because
sideways, yeah.
that's probably why I also found kizomba easier
Mm-hmm.
because it's like closer to tango rather
Mm-hmm.
than bachata and salsa.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Not similar posture, but the postures are closer. Yeah.
Okay, so you found the style when you were 17, and then like was it did it take a long time before you felt like you got thrown into teaching, or what, like how long have you been doing that?
It was the time where it was, I think, a year before COVID. And so I had the first year or half a year of having
Oh my
like
God, she
proper.
was 17 right before COVID. It just hit me. I was like, oh, whoa. Like she was a teenager. Imagine being a teenager during COVID. Okay,
Yeah,
that's a completely
that was
different
fun. And I was
side.
also doing university at the time that was closed down.
Oh,
So I started uni at 17. So like,
you're like that generation that everyone
yeah.
talks about, like that gets like social anxiety
So yeah,
and
probably.
like
I have it
literally,
somewhere in the back of my mind. Yeah. But anyway, so I had the first half a year or like maybe almost a year off, a couple dances on the spot in Prague, and then everything closed down, and then I started traveling for whatever was open, I was traveling. I lived in Thailand before, so I went to Thailand with my family. Then I went to Ukraine, and then when it was like jumping up and down, and then that's where I met a lot of teachers, and one of the biggest teachers actually that was like the inspiration was Super Mario from the UK. He's a salsa, I don't know if you know him. He's a salsa dancer, teacher. He's one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to how a teacher should act and be in class. Like really you can be a great dancer, but you have to be an amazing teacher to be able to teach or have this teacher aspect, not just I'm a great dancer, but then I don't know how to teach and I want to teach.
what kind of aspects did he bring?
More of the psychological and how to lead a class, how to get people really tuned into what you're saying, or to hold
Motivated,
them down
yeah,
for
struggling.
when they're struggling.
Yeah. Okay.
So he was there, my motivation because I started also salsa 8 months into, yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot
Like,
at the same. It's a lot at the same time.
yeah.
Yeah, 8 months into when COVID hit because I was in Ukraine at the time, and then bachata wasn't there as well in the level, and there was Super Mario with a really good salsa school, and it was New York, so it was linear salsa, and I'm like, that sounds like it's gonna be fun, and I needed to work on my turn, so it works. And then I got into this whole every single day we were talking about how to teach, and then I was talking about struggling of like I can't find bachata classes here because I feel like the level for me was already too high for those classes. But at the same time, like what should I do? And then over the course of 2-3 months, he kind of gave me a lot of the backbone of psychology of teaching that pushed me to start my, as I call, like a bunker classes with my friends that I just dragged and be like, okay, I need to practice on you. Can you be my like lab rat? So I train with you or I teach you. And then I can at least feel like I can teach to other people or see if it works with me.
I want to like take a pause there and just shout out not only the mentors, because
Yeah.
sometimes you just need a hand
Mm-hmm.
and you just need someone to believe in you and to share those things.
Yes,
Because
for
some
sure.
teachers hold on to that knowledge and they are very much like gatekeepers.
Mm-hmm. Egoistic about it.
Exactly. So basically we really just need to take a shout out moment to them, because if you actually open up and you invest some, you're going to have students that flourish into other teachers.
Most definitely.
So
Yeah,
And
it's
that's like
such.
the proud moments. And actually you can see the best or the top teachers are the ones that also taught or brought up now existing teachers.
yeah.
But isn't that like the true measurement of a successful teacher, that you have successful students coming up teaching after, right?
Yes.
I think that is one of the things that me and T-zer both come from a dance school called Twisted Feet in Gothenburg. And just looking at like our generation, we're talking dancers that came out and like trained Madonna, danced behind Beyonce, doing opera shows, traveled the world from like one very specific generation from that dance school. And I think that's say and like dance behind like Popcorn, dance like did several world tours, Kizomba, Bachata. And I think that for me at least is how you measure success as a teacher. Like, okay, but what are your students doing? Because that's the only measurement, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the next thing is shout out to those friends that are the guinea pigs in the beginning, because you need
That's
those
you.
people
That's you,
too.
T-zer. You're that friend. Shout out to you.
Were you?
I mean,
And
when
she's still
Basically,
here?
Sebastian
basically,
started
basically
out,
every product I ever launched, I ran it. T-zer did it.
Oh my God, are you okay? Are you still good?
oh, I am like
Okay.
that definitely, because it's just funny sometimes that like it takes sometimes the friend to
For
make you
sure.
start something, right?
Yeah.
Like if I did not have Sebastian in my life, I would never have done a home workout probably in my life. But now I've done many of them, various
You know?
places. And especially when I was in quarantine in Thailand for 2 weeks in one
Oh
room with
God.
my fiance, it was like life-saving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like home workouts was yeah. So shout out to you, Sebastian.
Sure.
Thank you
Thank you.
for,
Thank you. Thank you.
also pushing out
Appreciate
there.
appreciate it.
So you started with your friends, and then at one, like, did you then start real classes over there, or did you move here?
No, I was still in Prague, but actually because I was without a dance partner, which was also a big thing, I started taking leader classes. So then I went back to my beginnings and be like, okay, I'm hopefully great at following. Um, but what is leading? So then I had to go like pause myself, do or start leader classes. And then after a while of guinea pigging all of my friends, I started only lady styling classes, or as I called lady style, right now I just call it styling because anyone is welcome. It's a bit more feminine, but hey, anyone. So I had styling classes for the first 3, 4, 5 months of just here and there, either boot camps or ongoing technique classes. And then I met my current dance partner. And then kind of we're like, yes. Well, I was the one to propose to him, and then it took him multiple months to be like, yeah, I'm gonna accept it. And I'm like, yeah, it's a
Oh,
whole Romeo and Juliet story here.
it's also so interesting with partners. Like, I mean, Sebastian, you never really had a dance partner. You had a dance
Never,
crew.
never. Yeah, yeah. And even in we were a crew most definitely. We did some shows and like some battles, but like
Mhm.
my career is definitely a solo career. Like, yeah, like a shout out to my crew. You know what I mean? Absolutely, we did a lot of things together. But like
Hmm.
internationally, the majority of the things I've done is definitely solo.
Hmm.
It
But
takes a
even
lot.
then, yeah, yeah. But even then, it's like you're solo, but like I still travel with Kork and Judith, you know. So like it was a
You
solo
still have
career
someone
thing.
there.
Yeah, I still have
Yeah.
them there, you know.
But to be honest, that probably could be like one of the best factors that you still have someone there
Yeah, for
mentally and
sure.
physically supporting,
Yeah,
but then you don't have to deal with a lot of the blocks or getting to know another person or things that you
yeah.
really have to. If it's a click, because for instance, Kevin and I, it feels like we've been friends or like a big brother, like little sister kind of vibe since we met.
Mm.
But then I also see so many problems within couples, either romantic or as dancers, and I'm like, just so much to deal with.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to have a solo career.
Yeah, I love it. I loved it. I still love it. I still love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Okay, so you got into the couple, and we have seen
Yeah.
some stuff from you and Kevin. And what I like about it is that is indeed it doesn't feel so forced. It feels
Yeah.
like you guys have a lot of fun, like kind of
Mhm.
more like
Yeah.
siblings rather than
The
romantic
funny
partners.
thing is, a lot of people think that we're together all the time.
Oh,
And then when they find out we're not, they're like, "You sure? Like, is it not like at least like a one-time thing?" And I'm like, No, because we have this such a brother-sister bond. Um, and definitely that's what we established at the start. I was like, we never wanted to be this, I want to be like someone and then copy that style and then just try to mimic it as much as possible to get the same fame as that person had. And it's more like whatever we feel, we dance. And then if people like it, they like it. If not, we just have to train more for people to see it.
mm.
So yeah, that was always this authenticity. And then he's also Venezuelan. He's like super dramatic. So it's always gonna be That's true. So he like brings this flavor.
Shout out to the dramatic man
Oh
up
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Ave
Even when
Maria.
we were doing a show as well, it was always like, okay, well, let's sit down, let's figure out what the show is going to be about. Split second, Kevin is like, it's going to be drama, and I'm like, for sure. What else? What else?
Classic
So yeah,
bachata. Have you ever seen a bachata show that is not drama? He's always that is not like
It's
heartbreak.
true.
It's always
I
heartbreak.
have, and I actually really love those ones. That is not
Yeah,
just
yeah.
about
They exist.
heartbreak
They
all the
exist.
time.
Of course, they exist.
Yeah,
They exist. But there are few. There are
yeah.
few. It's like heartbreak or
Compared
I
to
love
yeah,
you or very
picture.
romantic. Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's the culture. No, it's part of the music. It's the music
yeah,
also.
yeah. Hey,
Um,
it's fun. We enjoyed it. At least we enjoyed it in our
that's the
premiere.
most important. That's the most
Yeah.
important. How much are you guys are you guys teaching regularly right now and like traveling also?
Yes, both. So whenever we are booked, we travel. We also
Nice.
sometimes travel as guests, or we also did competitions heavily.
Like
A
Jack and
year and
Jill.
a half ago. Yes, Jack and Jills most
Yeah.
of the times.
It's
Or
so
sometimes they don't call them Jack and Jills because of also the type Jack and Jill is a specific contest that is I think is West Coast swing based, and then the way the competition is structured, it has to be called the Jack and Jill for that. So sometimes they changed it to just be like social competition or whatever. Yeah.
bachata. It has changed so much. Jack and Jill became really, really big like after COVID.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, like when I was traveling, there was not a big thing. But Jack and Jill was
Yeah.
absolutely not a big thing.
Yeah.
Jack and Jill for at least then, it might have changed as you're saying, but Jack and Jill was just you take a random couple or like a
Mm-hmm.
random person. You basically take a note out of a hat essentially. It's like, oh, I'm teamed up with
Mm-hmm.
this one, and then the
Yeah.
ones that has the best connection for the day or for the moment, they pass through and they win.
Yeah, so
Mm.
that's the Jack and Jill. But right now, a lot of the times there is just a social competition, meaning that you're dancing with everyone, and then throughout the rounds when you're getting kicked off, you're dancing with almost the whole round of people because
Interesting.
it is a social one. So you have to see how you're connecting and how you're able to
Ah,
do
that's
follow lead.
awesome.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, I wish we
That's
had that
awesome.
in Kizomba. I
yeah.
think I would kill that competition.
And
I
they're
wish we
actually
had
even
that because I knew I would win.
I mean, like, I'm sorry to
yeah,
say, but I love following different leads. I
yeah,
think that I'm like that's one of my strong sides. If
yeah.
I can side flex myself, it's
Side
like to
flicks.
adapt.
To be honest, that's like I think a new thing. Well, shows in this one. I think that could Kizomba can take from the bachata
Yeah,
community.
because in Kizomba, we have battles because
Yeah,
we took it straight from hip hop.
yeah.
So it's never really a random couple
Hmm.
ups. You have a partner and then you sign up in for either categories. In Olympia, it's
Yeah,
essential, urban, tarasha
yeah,
or tarashinya, and traditional or authentic kizomba. So, but you have a partner.
yeah.
So I think that this would be interesting.
It's nice when you're having like this rising star moment.
Yeah.
So then if you're a couple and then you win, then all of a sudden you're known across the whole urban kids community. But for us, social dancing, and actually it was cute multiple times, or I think at least once, we won together first place, having competed solo. Because you're
Ah,
competing solo, and then you're having the one, two, three places for each category as a follower and as a leader. And then we were both first places as a leader follower.
why do you think that is? Like, if you had to be a little bit flexy right now, what is it? Why
I'm
do you
not good at
think
this.
you both? I know we're practicing, practicing. What made you? Why do you think that is? What is it that you and Kevin have?
Authenticity. That was my strong suit at the same time having this I have to know how to control it sometimes of I'm not just a bachata dancer. I have so many extra other grooves and things there that I also don't know where they came from, but they're just there sometimes. And knowing how to I think that from my side, knowing how to dance outside the box and just being there, just letting the emotions go through with it. Because a lot of the times I see following being super dainty, super cute, super clean. But for me, sometimes it's too clean.
It lacks
Yeah.
emotions or it lacks.
Yeah. It's more like, can you look at me like this is I'm doing it right? Like and constantly like having this question of like, did I do it correct? Instead of really just being in the moment. Because most of the times for me, social competitions are one of the best socials I can have because you have handpicked songs by the DJs because if they're bad, then they're gonna be killed instantly because everyone's judging.
Pressure.
Yeah. You have hopefully the higher rounds you go, you're having handpicked dancers who are great, who would be probably the top dancers of the festival. And then you have sometimes even great connections, like if you already know the person, then you have already established connections when you're dancing and you're competing. So you have, I would say, and then an intense round of 30, 40 an hour of dancing, of just intensely greats everything. So you just enjoy it. That's for me the biggest one. You're just having this
Do a competition like
right?
this. What?
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds so
And
fun.
for Kevin's side, I would say that he's just a maniac when it comes to listening to bachata songs. He just knows every little small detail of like behind the tracks, you know, like there are thousands and one track of the song, how it's composed. He knows like all of the small details there. And I'm like,
Just
how? Yeah.
memorizing it all.
Yeah.
Love
Just
it.
taking it in. Yeah.
Mm.
I love it.
Hmm.
I
And I
love it.
think it's super important for the leader to really nail musicality.
For yes and no, right? Because again, like as somebody who comes from the hip hop scene, like my definition of musicality is not memorizing the songs. Like my definition of
Yeah,
musicality is
no.
not knowing the song and going in and still being able
No,
to
for sure.
rock the song. You know what I mean? But at the
Yes.
same time, in bachata, that is such a, or in sensual at least, I feel it's such a big thing
Mm-hmm.
because there are very like, oh, here comes the song, like here
Mm-hmm.
comes that sound, and everybody hits the sound. And again,
Yeah.
when you are competing, it's obviously good for
It's always
memorizing the
good.
songs, like Kevin apparently did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
nice,
also multiple times we had to do demos. Sometimes we just ask if like we have a friend DJ who's behind the booth and we're like just pick whatever
nice,
song and then we
nice.
just was we I think when we started dancing we were always this as any kind of new couple is like we're scared to do a demo or we have to make it seem like it has to be great. So we would think of the song beforehand and then for me that would stress me out more because then I have to be constantly thinking throughout the whole 1 hour class of the song or the demo.
Mm.
So then after maybe I think the first month of us being in a couple, we're like, no, we're not thinking about songs. We're not doing it. It's just whatever Kevin in the moment decides to click, or at this point, DJs, friends of ours who are just like, do whatever. Sometimes we don't, both of us, weirdly enough, don't know the song. And then we still nail musicalities because if you already grow up in the musical scene or you're listening on repeat on so many songs, the structure of the song is super similar.
Yeah.
And then you can hear the beats that are coming up or things that are building up. So, yeah. You can
Okay.
also guess it.
So
Yes.
I have a little thing to confess.
Oh my God.
I once competed in bachata.
I remember.
I saw that.
I was there.
And
I've seen it.
what?
That was
I've seen your show. You had a show even, huh?
Oh, you mean when we did it a rehearsal at Twisted?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah,
Yeah, it was great then.
I
It
liked it.
was
You and
thank
Michelle.
you. Yeah. Yeah,
Huh?
I mean, Michelle
Yeah.
was the bachata dancer, so
okay.
basically a crewmate of mine.
Mm-hmm.
He competed with a girl, and then he won the Scandinavian championship in bachata.
Mm-hmm.
And then the girl didn't want to compete in the world
Hmm.
championship. And I was so heartbroken for him that I was like, fuck this. I can be your partner. Yeah. And I had never really danced any performative bachata before. I'd never done really a lift either. And you had to
That was
have
the video that you sent me, right? Yeah.
two lifts. You had to do two lifts. And we weighed the same at the time.
Yeah.
So it was like a whole thing, right? But it was so interesting to be in a competition where like I didn't really care about the outcome. I knew we were not gonna win, obviously, because he was like, I just want to do this thing. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care if we take the last spot, you know, like it's more on me for me to like, I have competed
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
world championship. And I said, cool, if that's the level, we're gonna do it. And I just remember stepping into this world and being one head higher, taller than all the other girls. And I'm not a tall girl.
That's
I'm
so true.
165. And everyone was under
Mm-hmm.
160 at least. And half of my size. And I'm also not like considered like a big, massively curvy girl.
Can
And
you imagine for me in the dance?
I was just about to say, like, how do you then deal as like both you and Kevin?
Yeah.
You very cutely call yourself like, I am one half of the curvy team type of thing. And like, how do you to navigate in that in this world that sometimes I feel like And I mean, again, it's not to throw shade at the bachata because a lot of couple dances have the same type of thing, but it's very polished. It's very like one image. We
Yeah.
see usually just one image of how girls and guys are gonna look like, and it's like the outfits and the strict hair. And I mean,
Yeah.
you two are like nothing like that.
Completely not.
So how do you navigate that?
I think at the start, a lot of the times I got so many comments of either they're impressed by the actual movements considering the body type. I'm like, that's a double-sided
It's a
compliment,
little
but
bit
thank you.
condescending, but okay,
Like, I'll take
yeah,
it.
That sounds like
And
a
then-
woman complimenting a woman. It's like, you're so good for yourself. It's like no man say that.
Yeah.
There's no man that would say it. It's like you're good or you bad.
Yeah. And then the other side was just, it's like, can we have more of this in the scene to represent? And then that's when it clicked for me. I never really like to be this the person that is in the front leading all of this, because I think
Like
everyone should. Yeah, no, because I don't think it's revolutionary. I've seen so many other women in just different sizes dancing.
Yeah.
Like in any field, not just dancing, but that there's at least one or two people that started. And I'm not the one who starts it. There were so many before me, but just I feel like it's just not enough compared to the overall dancing, especially bachata population. And I had the same struggle with the whole lifts and everything in the show, because also being known as the curvier, having to be happy on the ground, happy feet on the ground. It definitely was like a whole year of psychological training apart from physical training to make sure that we did the show just like a month and a half ago as a premiere. And I had 5-ish lifts in the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's impressive.
Off the ground.
Off the ground.
Off the ground.
Woo!
I'm impressed, yes. But definitely right now, maybe because they already know me more in the scene, I don't get those backhanded compliments as much. But more just this encouragement of please just be there for us in the scene. And I'm like, I'm not going. I'm still here.
That's really, really nice.
Now,
Yeah.
I also think it's really nice that you, again, you are, because I think when it comes to like the classic stereotypes of just body type of, it's like curvy, you're fat. It's like, yeah, but you don't train, you look like that. It's like, no, like you're actually training a lot, is what it seems like on your social media, at least.
I do a good job on showing.
You know what I mean? No, but
Yeah, but it's true. That's true.
I
That's
see
true.
you're doing your workouts at the same also, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's very important to point out. Is like, no, you're still here training, you're still doing your thing. Just because this is my body type does not neglect the fact that I need to take care of my body as much as any other person, right?
Yeah. And actually, I had that just recently talking to yesterday when I was pep talking to my girls for the premiere today. Most of the whole conversation was about some of them have less strength in the upper body because we're having a bit harder moves. They're not just bachata cute dancing. It's really just also about you're being in the show team. You have to make bigger moves as well. And then I started counting up the amount of hours to show them how much I'm training. And I think an averaged out to like 3 or 4 hours per day of some kind of physical movements. Either it's gym, stretching, training with the dance partner, training by yourself, training the girls. It's not even like not teaching included, but just physical training. And I think as if you want to be a dancer of a certain level, you really have to have this also mentality of training and physical, like as you have with the whole coaching, you really need to be training your body for it to be ready for any kind of anything,
It's
any stress
fundamental.
factor.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fundamental,
Yeah.
and especially once you're getting a bit older. Like
Yeah.
I don't do things. I can still do them, but it takes me longer to get to that space where just like flipping and doing cartwheels and whatever type of movements I used to do in my early 20s versus like now in my early 30s. And it takes long. I can still do them, but it takes me longer time to get there. It's not like I can just bust it out on a Tuesday morning. It's like, nah, I got to warm up. Like,
Stretch.
yeah, I gotta do some stretching before. But it's just the reality of growing, no?
That's
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm almost also not doing the dance hall jump into a split. I'm also not really doing that on the
I want
regular
to see you.
anymore.
Can you put this into your course?
It takes like I would have to like need a half year to kind of
Okay,
get
so
back to
summer course. I'm
oh
gonna
my
see
God.
it.
I don't know if this is a goal of mine or if this is put on me in the moment.
yeah, now I'm good.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna see it. At some point I'm gonna see it.
Why did I say that?
Yep,
What
that's it.
what type of classes are what type of classes are you taking right now, Nika, or what are you doing to stay inspired? Because I think this is one of those things that are very normal when you are just coming out of your like you're leveling up, right? Like you go to that
Hmm.
next level of your dancing career of okay, I started social dancing, now I'm teaching, and now I'm also teaching internationally and doing show. And one of the things that always happens to all of us is that you start to pour out too much. You start to
Hmm.
travel, you teach, you do all of these things. What do you do in order to as somebody who has that knowledge, right? Like now, or you have that knowledge. What now?
Hmm.
What do you do to prevent that?
Mm, I think I'm a constant student. That whenever I feel like I'm losing either myself a bit or I have this, well, what if I don't have enough to give? But that just happens 24/7 all the time, no matter if I have the knowledge or not. I always love to feel like I'm in the process of growing myself outside of growing as a teacher and giving back. But then as a personality, I'm taking knowledge. And right now I'm on, well, not dance related, but I'm on two different courses that are keeping my like brain occupied when it comes to just studying. And then dance wise as well, certifications, training camps when it comes to bachata. Right now I'm also in the training of Letty. She's an M-Zouk creator and in this Zouk scene right now. She was based in Mallorca. That's where she created her M-Zouk, and then now in Amsterdam. So I'm within her training camp of every single week almost for 4 to 6 hours. We're there. We're just growing as not just as a teacher, but really as a solo dancer as well, and having this growth of mental dancer. And then apart from that, just so many outside of bachata classes. So many private, so many heels classes, anything and everything to make me feel like I am not staying on the same spots. The best.
That you're excelling, like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, because I think what you were touching upon is like, Sebastian, is that when you spend so much time doing the other stuff that you're like
Hmm.
tearing down all of a sudden, like you don't get enough sleep, you
Yeah.
traveling a lot, you might eat on the road, which we all know is like super
Yeah.
hard to eat healthy and stuff like that. And I know for a fact you are
Mm.
like in a whole diet situation right now,
Yeah.
which is
Um,
a lot. But
I
yeah.
was diagnosed with PCOS. I don't know if you know
With
that
what?
one.
With what?
PCOS.
What is that?
It's a polycystic ovarian syndrome, if you less
Ah,
abbreviated. And so it's a lot of hormonal disbalances, which is also actually partly the reason why the weight is there. The curves are curving more because the body wants to keep more of it. And that's why the reason if I have to train more than probably than an average person for it to go off if I want it to go off. And so for the last 4 months, apart from just generally before more or less having or trying to think about like a clean diet, now it's even more prominent with like no sugars, no carbs, maybe like one cheat day per week. But then outside of that, it's really just like eating clean, healthy. And then, you know me, I love my sleep. I prioritize 8 to 10 hours a day just to be in my room. Hopefully sleeping as well, but then yeah, at least minimum of 8 hours. And then if my body needs more, then
Mm.
I let it have it. I go into stress mode if I have to count the hours and then my hours don't add up to 8 when I have to wake up.
so
And
you
so I
have
just
polycystic ovary syndrome, correct?
yes.
And
Yes.
that is something that just came randomly.
Um, Apparently, because I usually do, because in Czech Republic you have this yearly, you have to check up with your normal doctor and then your gynecologist. And
Good.
then the same gynecologist, I do like a yearly checkup. And then this year, she checked everything and she's like, there's something wrong. Before there was something a bit off, but it was never like we have to ring all the bells. And then in August, she's like, okay, let's start working on something. I don't know what happened within that year, or maybe some even more disbalance happened. Not that I felt it per se much. And she's like, yeah, so I have 20-ish pills per day.
That are
Um,
obviously affecting your hormones and as a
yeah,
and just to complete the just to close the circle and obviously
yeah,
affecting your hormones and then that is obviously making sure that the weight is you're holding on to the weight longer. Is that what you're saying?
yes,
Got it.
yes,
Got it. Got
I
it.
yeah,
think
Got it.
that
Got
this
it.
is something that is also really good to bring along into when we see other people. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just so easy to think that like, yeah, but if you just do what I do, it's gonna
You'll be
help
fine.
you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
whereas like you are not the first person that I meet that
Mm-hmm.
trains way more than myself, and that still
Mm-hmm.
is not like, oh, you
Skin.
cannot see all the cuts
Yeah.
of your entire
Yeah.
muscle mass, you know what I mean? And it's just this thing we have to keep remember, like we have no idea
Who's in front of us?
who's in front of
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
what they're going through, what's the
Mm-hmm.
reason? Is it genetics? Is it something going
Yeah.
on?
So
Is there
much.
disbalance? Is
Mm.
there you know,
I
mental
trained,
thing,
yeah.
physical?
I trained
Mm-hmm.
a world famous, one of the, top in Latin dancing for a while. I'm just gonna keep her name anonymous. I trained her for a long time, still do, and she was just super struggling. You just put on a lot of weight, and we really went all in. Like, what is going on here? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you have a thyroid issues. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
you have a thyroid problem. So we had to
What is
take
that?
thyroid are
So-
de här, vad heter det på svenska?
Mhm.
Sköldkörtlarna
Exactly,
type
and
of
they control
thing.
And it's also the same hormones.
there you go.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they control the hormone balance. This is why I'm asking about
Mm-hmm.
your ovary syndrome. Uh,
Yeah.
and the same thing. There's like we had to take her to the to the doctors, right? And
Mm-hmm.
just stabilizing her hormones. Weight fell off like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Basically. And actually, I went because I started this thing, or like really yeah, started in August, and then I had to come back during the holidays in December, and she weighed me again. She's like, yeah, by doing exactly the same thing like before, which barely anything changed apart from just cleaning up even more the diet of like no sugars, no carbs. um and I lost 5 kilos just without me having to change so much,
Mm.
because before I was also not really this like junk food-ish food, so really like the change wasn't as big apart from having to start pills and the whole
Balancing
balancing
it
out.
out.
Yeah.
And
But the
it's obviously not a goal for you also
Yeah.
to lose weight,
Yeah.
but it just comes to show that
Mm-hmm.
it can be something else than just training,
Yeah.
you
yeah,
know? Yeah, for
and the
sure.
pills you're eating, is it medication or is it vitamins?
I think predominantly it's vitamins, but I'm not sure. Some of the labels are not fully readable to me. I just trust my doctor.
Yeah.
And then, but most of them I can see is like vitamin. I have two types of vitamin D, but then, and then a bunch of other
Yeah.
things. But there are quite a lot of vitamins, and then some that I'm like, that doesn't look like a vitamin, but
Yeah, I sat down with
just
a
a
I
white
sat down with
powder.
Mm.
it's interesting. I sat down with a hormonal expert here
Mm-hmm.
in Barcelona yesterday, or the day before yesterday. Her name is Marida Punti, and she's working
Mm-hmm.
specifically with women and hormonal imbalances. She's one of the
Mm-hmm.
people. We used to have a dance festival. We had the world's first dance festival that were focusing on training for bachata or for Afro Latin dancers, called Be Fit and Sensual 2017, 18, 19, and she was teaching there about nutrition and hormones. And since
Mm-hmm.
then, she's just been like skyrocketing and taking her knowledge to like a quadruple level.
Mm-hmm.
And we just spoke about how insane it is, about how we treat women, and almost a lot. It's almost like a group of people that gets completely neglected when women get into menopause, because we don't
Oh
know
God, yes.
nothing about that. And she told me a story about somebody who she's been working with, and that person just had menopause naturally, went into depression. And if you know anything about depression and you have a brain, you know that that is not the person. That's a different person. It's not the same person anymore. And that person went into depression, cut out her entire family, stopped talking with her children, just became a completely different, basically, like, I'm not going to say died, but basically became a completely different person. And then
Mm-hmm.
just by adding supplements,
Mm.
not medications, just by adding
Mm-hmm.
supplements to stabilizing your hormones, became exactly the same person once again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this thing that you talked about, this throat thing, I
Yeah,
have like
thyroids.
both I have two family members, my
Mm-hmm.
sister, who is like 20 years older than me,
Mm-hmm.
and my sister-in-law, like my brother's wife. Both of them got this when they
Yeah,
hit menopause. Or
yeah,
they
Wow.
got, and so they didn't understand why they were so tired
yeah,
all
Mm-hmm.
the time. They didn't
That's
understand
also.
why they didn't like, they also had like, weight problem, and
Mm-hmm.
also this feeling of always being bloated, and like,
Mm-hmm.
and then people are saying, oh, it's just menopause. But
Yeah.
there is something there. And I feel like just like with any healthcare, the most studies are done on men. So if this would have been a male problem, we would have had a way bigger
Deal about it.
understanding and
Yeah.
discussion and resources.
Yeah.
But because it's not, we still are in the dark. And I love that like now, like Michelle Obama and these type of women that are in very high positions that are also
Starting conversations.
they are starting conversations. Yeah.
Yeah, but at least it's in menopause because a lot of the times the hormonal disbalances also affect a lot of the like pregnancy reproducing things. So I know a friend of mine close to me, that thyroid, like for her to get pregnant is super hard.
Yeah.
Super, super hard. And she wants to have kids. So it
Yeah.
seems also mentally hard.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like yeah, I think it's in generally like we're touching on so many things. Like
Yeah.
if you a woman, I don't know if you ever heard this, but when I did my bachelor in health promotion.
Okay.
And one of the things we always talked about there was like how many women that each year call in to like 911 or 112, wherever you're based, and they are saying their symptoms and they're sent back because of
With
stress.
paracetamol.
But it's actually they're having a heart attack.
Wow.
And because the symptoms are different between men and women, and we have learned a classic, like, oh, you feel like a numbness in your left like left arm, you might see your face hanging if you're having a stroke and so on. But women don't often have the same symptoms. They have a pressure over their chest, and that is what most people are taking as a sign of stress. So a lot of women, more women, die out of heart and cardiovascular diseases because they're calling in with female symptoms. And how crazy is that?
Yeah.
Like just knowing that
being sent off because you're stressed.
Yeah.
But
But
that
you're
is
dying.
that is so interesting because a very similar thing happens when we talk about depression. When we're talking about depression, we're looking and we're treating male depression like it is female depression, which is not, right? It's two very, very different things. Depression
talk to us.
depression
Teach
in
us.
yeah, but like so depression is what does that mean? Like depression is obviously something that you're feeling, and it's and a lot of men that goes into like video gaming, for example, or like are just closing themselves into this bubble of just okay, I'm doing video games and that is everything I do. That is a way that depression manifests itself. Not saying like there is not gamers out there that are feeling good. It's not what I'm saying. But a lot of people once you start to getting secluded. But for us, when we're looking at it, it's like, oh yeah, but he's just a gamer. It's like, but no, he that is depression. We're looking at it. He's never contactable. He's always in front of the screen. And then that is his life. But we're looking at it from like, oh, but he's not like maybe doing cutting himself or doing more outbursts that might be a more female oriented way of how depression is like manifesting itself. And we're treating it the same way, like as in like, okay, but we try to like, okay, but just go to a psychologist or like just go and talk to somebody. Like that does not work for a lot of men. Like that is not how a lot of us function or that what we need, right? So it's very interesting how we have like a one fix for both the genders when there is like clear differences in how it manifests itself and how it expresses itself and what is like the cure, right?
Oh, that's so interesting because we are obviously seeing that, like, I think attempt of suicide are very high amongst women, but the actual successful rate of suicide is
There you
way
go.
higher amongst men.
Exactly. And then
yeah.
it's like, yeah, but men needs to, we had this conversation yesterday, so it's very on top of my mind. And I spoke to somebody, it's like, yeah, but men need to go and talk to people. It's like, that is not the one fix for everyone. It's like, yeah, but men don't want help. It's like, no, it's not the case. We don't want that help. We don't want that help because that's not working. That's not what we need. So it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. It's very, very multi-dimensional topic. And it's like, it's the same thing when it comes to like it's multidisciplinary solution. It's not just like go talk to somebody and feel better. It's like no, like it like is not it doesn't work for all of us. Like personally, right? Like I've dealt with panic anxiety, depression, was in a really really dark space for a while. Had a whole TEDx talk about this. and I never once spoke to a psychologist. Never once.
Hmm.
It's not that I think it's bad. It's just that that was not what I needed.
Yeah.
And I'm healthier than ever before, and still until today have not spoken ever or paid anybody to go and talk to them. It
Hmm.
doesn't mean that I don't have people that I talk to, but I
Hmm.
never like went and paid for a psychologist, which is nothing bad. Like I think like I know a lot of friends, a lot of professional dancers. I prescribe it to my students. I'm like, hey, I really, really do think that you should go and talk to a psychologist.
Hmm.
So it's both. It's both.
Yeah.
It's very multidisciplinary, so to say.
I kind of want to derail into another subject touching on this, how to stay sane.
Oh.
Because dancers, as we all know, have to have like if you are not seen, you don't exist, right? So you have
Mm.
the a social media aspect, which we all know can be very daunting, and sometimes you just feel like stopping. But as a
Hmm.
dancer, you can't afford to stop,
Yeah.
and it's a bit of a uh double-sided sword in a way because it can kill your motivation for creating.
Hmm.
And at the same time, you have to keep creating
A lot of
content
pressure.
to go out there because
Yeah.
otherwise
Yeah.
you won't sell workshops and so on.
Yeah.
How are you dealing with that? I mean, you're like a
I'm
young
not
professional,
Gen
but
Z.
Gen Z.
Back
So
to
you
it.
grew up with social media in a way that me and Sebastian did not do when we were teenagers.
Don't
So
put me in your old category, teaser. Don't put me in your
we are
old
the same
category.
age,
How
okay?
old are
So
you? How old are you? You born what year?
I'm born a few months earlier than you,
Boy, you are
okay?
so old. Oh my God.
Listen,
You are so
listen, you
old.
watch yourself there.
You
Huh? Huh?
The screen is saving you right now.
the
Exactly.
light, the light.
Yeah. So, how are you dealing with that? Because you actually do have a very profound social media game. You are very active.
Yeah, I would. Well, I don't know how to. If I was in depression at some point, I think I was at some point in this like pressure of I don't want to be on social media. Actually, quite recently, and apart from because I also work in social media management. So apart from having to do the work for the people because it's paid, I slowed down my social media presence to the point of I felt like I just needed to put out at least one or two things per week just because. But it was never something that I loved. There was like 2, 3 months of this kind of pressure to put in. And I also manage both mine and our joint account as a dance partnership because Kevin has a full-time job. So, I take that role. And it does feel like it's a lot of pressure sometimes to keep that up on top of a lot of other things that are going on. So yes, I did have the step down, but it depends on how you approach it. If you have a lot of videos already and you just have to kind of repurpose it, then and you don't have the energy, just repurpose the videos. Just be there and just post and go if you're not really a social media person. If you're a social media person, be there, just like treat it as something that's like a CV because I always think to myself is what other place can you show that you are a dancer to prove to people, organizers, to the people around you, to students that you're for them, you're there. Because we don't have this like portfolio. What is a portfolio for us as social media or social dancers? Social media. So I'm there just trying to be as authentic as possible and thinking of if I have to double think on the content, I would just like go for it and post it. I don't think right now I was so much overthinking during my like slow down depressed social media person there that I stopped thinking about it. And for my content specifically, for work, it's different. But for my content, just whatever I feel like I want to put out as my me, I put out.
Yeah.
And then however is received, that's that's on them.
Yeah. And as somebody who is actually getting help from Nika as a social media
Hmm.
strategist, um, it has been like really nice to get a break. Like, to be
How does it
honest,
feel?
it feels like I have finally got off a little bit of pressure. So I also want to shout out to you for helping me with that. But just the fact that like if you are overwhelmed, there
Hmm.
are people out there that does this
That can do
that
that for
can
you.
help you.
Yes.
And I would say as my first month experimenting with
Yeah.
this, the content is still my content, right? It's my videos, it's my work. It's just the pressure for me of being online and posting
Yes.
often enough. And it's the active part. It's the every week needing to show up in that space. That's the hardest part for me. So I also want to kind of say that if you need help, you can always reach out to Nika.
Hi.
But also anyone, right? Like you
Yeah.
find yourself that break. If you have a little budget, it can really be worth your sanity.
That's so true.
And it actually gave me back more creativity to create content.
I was shocked. I told her, okay, hands off for the first month. She comes back to me 2 weeks later with a couple of videos edited and done, and I'm like, girl, you're supposed to be on a week on a holiday. And she's
Just
like, but I
social
have
media
the
holiday.
creativity. Yeah.
I don't want to post them. I just want to say I
I
edited
did it,
them
and then here
because
you
it was
go.
fun all of a sudden because
Yeah.
I don't have to,
Yeah.
right? I just don't have to go in and do it and
Yeah.
be like on the right time on my timeline and stuff
To be
like
honest,
that.
it's so ever changing that I think that you're really, if you want to post, just post. Don't overthink it. For a lot of the
I
people who
love
are in the
hearing you
social
saying
media.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
as soon as people start like, you need to post at like 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, like, yo, just post. What is you
No.
talking about? Like, just
Yeah.
get it out
No,
there.
because it's at one point that was a thing that, it's better to post at this and this time, but it's also so different to each person. You have to see your own analytics to see where your people are based. And as a social media manager, then yes, it's your job to check what works, what doesn't. If you're just a dancer and you have your own Instagram, don't really just don't think about it. Whatever works. So you wake up and you have like 5 minutes of the time, post.
Is Instagram still your
And it's
biggest
out.
platform, or do you rock with TikTok also?
No, the thing is, I try to start TikTok. I just, being a Gen Z, it's not my vibe. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. How
Yeah.
come?
I don't know. It's just, maybe it's like one more thing that I have to manage
Yeah, that's
that,
for me. That's why I never started it. I
yeah.
was like, ugh.
Because a lot of the times you can repost things to TikTok, which was, I'm fine with that, but it's also still like 60% of the time you have to make content for TikTok that is not similar to Instagram because it's shorter content and it's a bit different. So yeah, it's same but different. And then that but different parts makes me overthink it, and I don't want to. I already have so many other things going on that maybe in the future, if I have the time, or there's going to be a new platform, because also TikTok is slowly being banned in certain places, or like the talks of it being banned. So yeah, we'll see. We'll wait for maybe a new platform that I will
Yeah.
like more.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm like, a part of me is also feeling that it, like, I have a friend, he's super proud over his TikTok, which is amazing. He's always like, look how many views I have, and like I have so many more followers on TikTok.
It's a normal thing.
And I'm like, okay, but what is it giving you financially?
Show me your
That you
bank
have,
account. Don't show me your followers.
yeah, or like, or but
Yeah.
also like, again, so you have the validation
Yeah.
of people following you across the world, but is it really giving you more bookings or
Nah.
bookings that pay higher,
Yeah.
or some kind of, like, if you're not using it as a lot of influencers do, where they get free stuff, or they get like,
That's true.
we're traveling to this hotel,
Yeah.
we're getting a free night because I'm doing a vlog
Yeah.
of it, and what is actually benefiting?
Actually, most of the times you get, if you do both TikTok and Instagram, because it's so easy to get views and followers on TikTok more, that you have a lot of the TikTok users being moved to your Instagram, and then Instagram is a platform you sell most of the times. So then that is usually, most of the times, if people do the strategy correct, then TikTok to Instagram, and then Instagram also boosts your followers, and then hopefully maybe long-term relationships with the customers, potential buyers. Could be. But in the dancing scene, really, I see it more as an extra thing that requires more time, that doesn't give back as much.
Yeah, because, like, for example, all these very young, and again, not saying they're not talented, but all these young dancers that are used to dancing in a TikTok format, like, we were, I'm gonna sound so old, but we were trained to take up a lot of space, and now you have dancers that are trained to actually don't move either left or right, but to do everything with their hands, or minimal things that stays exactly on the same spot. And even though you're managing to do a dance that goes viral,
Doesn't mean you're a dancer.
Doesn't mean no, but it doesn't mean that you're gonna get paid or that you're
No,
gonna
it's true.
get like, oh, so this person now, like, is that person gonna get more dance classes or what
Mhm.
happens? Like, you're 16, you made a video that went viral.
Yeah.
You might be brought up to Ellen DeGeneres show if you're lucky, but then
Basically,
what?
yeah. Yeah,
We
it
had
depends on how you take that stardom or like that first hits of being seen. If you know how to then continue selling yourself, then I
Mm,
think it could, depending on what you want with that.
mm,
Maybe
I
you'd
had
had this hit and
yeah.
then,
No, keep going. Sorry, keep going.
yeah, maybe you had this hit of like a wonder hit, and then you know that you want to be a dancer, and then you continue, and then maybe you get some kind of crew, and then you have that as your job, but then you still have TikTok on the side, for
mm,
instance. And but some people go viral for God knows what, and then they completely switch it off and then move all of those followers to whatever product that they're selling that does not even like they don't go together with whatever they became viral for.
mm,
Maybe even if it's a dance.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting the TikTok dancers or the TikTokers.
mhm.
We have some really famous TikTokers in Cape Verde. Um, Considering our like the size of our country, right? So I don't know if you know Nika, but I live in the Cape Verde Islands,
I've
and
heard.
we have a population of five less than 500,000.
Hmm.
There are some TikTokers that have like 300, 400,000, right? It doesn't mean like everybody in they are only from Cape Verde because they speak Portuguese, so they're like a bunch of Brazilian followers also. Anyway, point being, I'm at a nightclub, and I see them, and they call themselves dancers, and I'm a hip hop guy, so we're dancing. The fuck, like we're battling. Let's get it. Like this is my shit. So I go up and I say like, hey, let's dance right now, and I dance and I do my shit, and they just look at me like I'm stupid, and I'm like, yo, like you're dancers, no? They're like, no, 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 we're TikTokers. I'm like, what the fuck? And they're like, yeah, 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 like this is not our song. I'm like, but what do you mean? They're like, yeah, like
Yeah.
we do choreographies to like specific songs. They're like, wait
Yeah.
for it, you're gonna see. And I'm like, what? Like, so because it was completely new for me.
Yeah.
This was like 3 years ago, and yeah, and then the song came, and then they did their shit, they did their choreo, and then stop. So it's a split. Like
Hmm.
you have to divide it. It's much like no, but like this is kizomba and this is urban kiss.
Yeah.
This is TikTok dancing and this is dancing. Like we're not the
mm,
Hmm.
same. We're moving and
Yeah.
we're having fun with music, right? Like that's the one
Yeah.
common
And
denominator.
both of you are enjoying it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we're not
But
clubbing. We're not clubbing the same way at all. Like
no.
the cultural like at all.
Yeah.
So it's very
yeah.
interesting. Not one being worse or like whatever fits you, right? Do you? But
Hmm.
yeah, I smoke them. That's most important. That's
Yeah,
most
what's this
important.
supposed to say? Going to
The
school
man ego,
then,
yeah.
huh? 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 Did you go to
Do
school
you? But
then?
I'm better. I'm better. Like to each your own. To each your own. Like my shit's cooler.
It wasn't a battle, but I won.
Yeah,
Exactly,
right,
exactly.
right.
It wasn't a competition, but I definitely smoked them. It's time to move that soul, T-zer. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Yes, let's get it. Let's get So we have
Okay,
this
yes.
tradition where well, you obviously know the game, where
Hmm.
there's an asking game of move that soul. It's a game for dancers. You can have them as icebreakers with your students or like us, getting to know each other on a deeper level. So I'm gonna start with asking our dear guest, Nika.
Hmm.
If you could travel back in time, what time in the past would you like to dance in?
She wanted to
There are so many.
pole. She wanted to pole dancing in like the mid.
It stuck with you, huh?
Like at like the
Have you
ice
tried it?
age. No,
Have
no,
you
I
ever
actually did.
tried?
Actually, I've tried it. Actually, tried it. It's fucking cool.
Okay.
It's super cool. It's super cool. I'm
Hard.
joking. It's really, 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 really hard.
Okay, now I need a video from you. Whenever you see a pole, send a video of your skills.
There is a lamp here. Let me show you later.
Okay, please don't break it. No, I would say I really love and I think that's going to be one of my maybe just private classes or styles that I just want to dig into is some kind of jazz, West Coast swing, something in the like very completely that is not my style,
Like Lindy
but
Hop kind of
Lindy Hop as
thing.
well, like
Yeah.
very uplifting,
Mm.
super lovey-dovey, energetic, and just, not giving not dramatic, basically. I think I've had a lot of drama. So that's, and not so much about the per se like this feeling connection, but more about just overall energetic community and just having a party.
But what
But
time though? Like what time? Well, wasn't that the
like
question?
the specific year,
Yeah.
Is it
um,
like 19, like
90s,
1920s?
yeah, I think so. Like 1920s, 1930s. That's where
Nice.
it's at. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Nice.
why
That's a
don't
Do,
great
you
answer.
take a question for Sebastian then?
That's a great answer.
okay. I have no nails anymore.
Okay.
Can we?
You can pull one here.
Thank you. Let's do this. If finances were not an issue, what would you do differently in your dance journey?
Nada, nothing. I tell you, like I'm so grateful for my dancing. I wouldn't change a thing. I think didn't we answer this question before? I think I asked the
I
question
think
before.
so. Yes.
I think you
Yeah,
changed it now.
I wouldn't change it.
No?
I wouldn't change a thing. I've done really what I want to do with dancing. Maybe I would have stayed longer in like New York or LA when I was there, but I'm so grateful for my dance journey. I don't want to change the goddamn thing.
Goddamn
The
thing.
How
goddamn
long were you in the
thing.
US for?
I've been in US a bunch of times, so back and forth.
Okay, so but not living there.
No, 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 no,
Okay.
no. So, but like, and I think, and that was like a financial thing also, right? Like, if you had like unlimited finances, I would like, yeah, but now I take my crew, I take my best friends, we rent this mansion, cool, we live here now,
Mm.
because the finances are unlimited.
Yeah.
But even now, like, I'm still traveling with dancing, and I'm running my company with my best friend, and we're traveling, and I've traveled with my crew, and I've traveled with on tour with artists, and I've done solo, and I've done bachata, world congress lifestyle with my girl at the time. So yeah, not a lot, not a lot, because it comes these crazy scenarios, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that would be it. I think that would be it. I think that's pretty much it, honestly.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Are you gonna also
And
answer?
Nika, you have to take one for teaser
Yeah.
Yes.
because we're
This
traveling.
one?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna do the magic. I don't know, I'm just hoping I'm not gonna pull the same one. Okay, let's do this. If you had to create a dance performance that represents your life journey, what key moments would be in it?
She already did
Oh.
it. She already did it. She did
I
exactly
did it
that.
actually. I actually did that.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I had a 10-minute storytelling performance through dancing in Sweden. Like my friend Anders did this storytelling event, and
Mm-hmm.
she asked me to show what home means to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the backpack became the home because it's kind of representing for my dancing. So I actually did that. Yeah. So I did a key moment of childhood and how the bag representing the divorce between my parents and so on. And then I did one part which was my teenager years, like
Mm-hmm.
finding dancing, being a hip hop dancer, finding a crew, training, and then going into womanhood and kind of finding more of the couple dancing and the elegancy,
Mm-hmm.
but also traveling and exploring that. If I would go into like a longer performance, I do think that I would like show also even more the different styles,
Mm-hmm.
like what dance hall meant for me specifically, or what whacking has meant for me specifically. Um, but yeah, I even had like a little shout out to my daughter and packing her bag in the end and just kind of
Oh.
like
But
showing
did
her.
did you already have your daughter at the time, or was
Yeah,
it?
it was just a few months ago.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was really, really fun. So I had this challenge, and I would encourage everyone to try it. It's really cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
You inspired me today.
thank you. Thank you.
With that.
Hey, Nika, it was
Yes.
so lovely to have you.
Thank you.
And just before we end the call, tell us what's happening tonight.
Me being stressed for half the night. No, I am doing the premiere with my
Nice.
semi-pro show of the girls that I've been growing to become dancers and hopefully professional dancers very soon.
They are named
But
what?
yes,
What's the crew name?
Unica.
Unica.
Yeah,
There we
it's
go.
it's everyone's unique in my team, but also has my name in the in the name. When it would happen, I'm like light bulb moments. But yes, we're premiering our Unica show. The team is gonna go on, but it's their first ever show. And
You're not
then yeah,
performing with them? You're in the
I
audience?
am, I
You
am, I
are, you
am.
are. Okay,
I
nice.
am, but I want to have this within because the show is gonna last probably half a year. I gave them this strict assignment that within 3, 4 months, I want to be this proud mom sitting and watching them dancing without me and
Mhm.
acing it.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see.
Well, we
Beautiful,
wish you the
beautiful.
best of luck.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Yay.
that's
Thank
Thank
you
you
awesome.
for
so
That's
much
giving.
for
awesome.
sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having
Plug your
me.
socials. Plug your socials also before we wrap things up.
Yes, you can find me with I keep on effing up my own Instagram, but it's Nika with 2 underscores MAL. That's where I do most of my face in the camera, so you can find me there.
Lit.
thank you so much. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Pa, 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 pa.
Ba-ba-ba-bum.
Don't forget to click subscribe, comment below, and give us a rating or review. We have a Facebook page, YouTube page, and we are on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and all the other podcast platforms. We also have an Instagram, so don't forget to tag us in your favorite episode and share it with the world because we read all of it.